Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. In this video, I am very excited to bring you the P-40 Warhawk. It is an American Tier 5 fighter. The aircraft is equipped with 6 12.7mm machine guns. These machine guns do 38 damage per second with a high rate of fire of 700 rounds per minute. A medium effective firing range of 500 meters. This aircraft is characterized by high airspeed and a good engine boost. To accentuate that strength, I have chosen to equip as upgrades Engine Tuning 2, which increases our engine power by 5%. What does engine power do? Well, it increases the engine's thrust. It helps to keep up airspeed in turns, helps to keep up airspeed when climbing. I've also equipped Aircraft Polish 1, which increases our top airspeed by 5%. The P-40 Warhawk is characterized as having good maneuverability in horizontal turns. It would be wonderful if it was high maneuverability, but it isn't. So to further buff the good maneuverability, I have chosen Lightweight Airframe 2, which increases maneuverability in all axes by 3%. I chose that over Control Surface Adjustment 2 because it only increases maneuverability in turns by 3%. So if you can increase maneuverability by the same percentage but in all axes, then Lightweight Airframe 2 is a better choice. In terms of pilot skills, this particular pilot is limited on skill points right now. I have 3 skill points in it. I have chosen to go first with Engine Guru 1, which increases our engine thrust by 3%, and that significantly improves aircraft acceleration. But as I mentioned with Engine Tuning 2, it also helps to maintain the aircraft's speed in turns and in climbing. With my third skill, I have gone with Eagle-Eyed, which increases the range at which enemy aircraft are detected by 10%. I like that just because it helps us to spot enemy aircraft sooner and to better plan our approach. Once I get further skill points though, I would spec out of Eagle-Eyed and go into Engine Guru 2 so that collectively we would have 5% increase in engine thrust and top speed. By collectively I mean Engine Guru 1 and Engine Guru 2 stack. I would then choose Aerodynamics Expert because it increases the effectiveness of our aircraft polish as well as our lightweight airframe and our engine tuning. So all 3 of our upgrades work nicely with Aerodynamics Expert. Moving on to our ammunition, I am using for purposes of this video universal ammunition, which has a high chance of fire and a medium chance of critical damage. And that goes very well with our high rate of fire machine guns. One of the benefits of having armaments that have a high rate of fire is that if you also have a high chance of fire, you're going to be starting a lot of fires and doing damage that way. In terms of consumables, I have chosen to go with automatic fire extinguisher. Also, I have chosen automatic engine restarter. I went with that skill because this aircraft is stated to have a vulnerable engine. I have also gone with control surface auto trim. So, one of the great strengths, as I mentioned, for this aircraft is its high airspeed and good boost. That strength assists this aircraft both tactically in terms of being on the attack, but also defensively. And so what we don't want to have happen is our aircraft losing control because our wings or our tail have been damaged, and then that negates the benefit of having our high airspeed and good boost. So that is why I went with control surface auto trim. Another viable option would be heavy duty control surfaces, which increases maneuverability in all axes for 10 seconds. That's to help in those close-in turning dogfights that this aircraft is probably not the best at. All three of these consumables are gold consumables, and that means two things. Number one, each one of these consumables will activate automatically. You don't have to think about them. Also, they have a 60-second cooldown. In contrast, the non-gold versions activate manually and have a 90-second cooldown. But I mainly choose the gold because of the automatic nature of them. I like to be able to concentrate on flying the aircraft, shooting my targets, and having situational awareness rather than button pushing. In terms of the aircraft specifications, the optimum altitude for this aircraft is 1,600 meters, so it is a medium altitude aircraft. It would struggle at higher altitudes. Its stall speed is 150 kilometers per hour. Its optimum airspeed is 380 kilometers per hour. Average time to turn 360 degrees is 10 seconds. So, it's not a bad turning aircraft, but it certainly isn't going to be able to hold its own in a turning dogfight with, say, a Japanese or a Russian fighter. Its top speed at best altitude is 610 kilometers per hour. Its maximum dive speed 780 kilometers per hour. Looking at the paint schemes for this aircraft, you are currently looking at desert. This is summer, winter, which I really like, but I think my favorite is marine. It's just a very attractive paint scheme. Could also go with this paint scheme, which is kind of a neutral one, but of course if you go with this, you would not get the 10% concealment boost that going with the theater-specific paint scheme provides. And personally, I think having that extra 10% concealment is helpful in that it, delays your enemy seeing you approaching. Alright, so what we are going to do now is head over to World of Warplanes website, use their compare aircraft tool, and see how this aircraft compares with other Tier 5 fighters. So let's do that now. Alright, so we are here on World of Warplanes website using their fantastic compare aircraft tool. There were a total of 22 available Tier 5 fighters. So we'd be here all day if I compared the P-40 to 21 other aircraft. So what I did is I eliminated the premium aircraft from this comparison. Also within each country, I eliminated aircraft that were not as strong as other fighters within that country's options. So first up, we have the Supermarine Spitfire and the Nakajima Kai-43. With each one of these aircraft, I have made sure that they are fully customized so that each aircraft is presented in its most favorable light. So first of all, looking at gun armaments, we see that the Spitfire is by +4 indicated to be superior to the P-40, whereas the Kai-43 is indicated as being inferior by -5. So let's take a look at these two aircraft and kind of see what's going on here that might cause that. Alright, so first looking at the Spitfire, we see that it has 4 Browning machine guns. Those machine guns do 25 damage per second with a rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute and an effective firing range of 440 meters. Now all of those stats are lower than those of the machine guns on the P-40, but augmenting those 4 Browning machine guns are 2 20mm Hispano cannons that do significantly more damage per second, 90 versus 38. They do have a much lower rate of fire, but a higher effective firing range by 180 meters. So collectively, the machine guns coupled with the cannons, that is why the Spitfire is indicated as being superior in terms of armaments. The Kai-43 has only 2 20mm cannons. They do 65 damage per second, but they have a hugely lower rate of fire and only an effective firing range of 100 meters greater than the effective firing range of the P-40 machine guns. However, collectively, the 6 machine guns of the P-40 do much more damage per second than the cannons of the Kai-43. Moving on to bombs and rockets. None of these aircraft have bombs and rockets. Survivability. The P-40 has a significant advantage over both the Spitfire and the Kai-43. More on that though in a moment. Top speed at best altitude. The P-40 is faster than both the Kai-43 and the Spitfire. Also faster on the dive. However, and this gets to the survivability of these aircraft, the P-40 can turn 360 degrees in almost 11 seconds, whereas the Spitfire and the Kai-43 can do it 2.2 seconds faster than the P-40 for the Spitfire and 2.9 seconds faster for the Kai-43. So it doesn't matter how great an aircraft's armaments are, it doesn't matter how superior its hit points are, if they're in a turning dogfight and the P-40 can't get its guns on the Spitfire or the Ki-43, none of that matters because those aircraft will outturn the P-40. So what the P-40 needs to do is to make sure it doesn't get in those close turning dogfights with either one of these two aircraft. Because if it does, it will lose it unless the pilots of those other aircraft make an unforced error. In terms of optimum airspeed, again, the P-40 is superior in that regard by 90 plus kilometers per hour. However, the P-40 will stall prior to either the Spitfire or the Ki-43 stalling. So if you're in a Spitfire or a Ki-43, your best strategy in dealing with the P-40 is to get in close and get in that turning dogfight. Or if the P-40 is on their tail, to climb straight up. And in that regard, further to that point, the Spitfire and the Ki-43 have faster rates of climb than the P-40. So just climb, and the P-40 will be slower on the climb and will stall sooner than either of those other two aircraft. The P-40 does have the altitude advantage, though, over those other two aircraft. Next up, we have the A6M2 and the BF-109 Emile. And the P-40 is indicated as being superior to both the A6M2 and the BF-109E in terms of armaments, gun armaments. P-40 is also superior to those aircraft in terms of survivability and hit points. P-40 is also faster than both the A6M2 and the BF-109. Where time to turn 360 degrees is concerned, however, both the A6M2 and the BF-109 will turn faster than the P-40 by a significant margin with regard to the A6M2 and by a not significant but still important margin for the BF-109E. The P-40 will stall at the same rate as the BF-109E, but will stall sooner than the A6M2. The P-40 has the altitude advantage over the A6M2, whereas the BF-109E has the altitude advantage over the P-40. Both the A6M2 and the BF-109 will climb at a higher rate than the P-40. Moving on, we have the Yak-1 and the MiG-3. P-40 is indicated as having superior armaments over both the Yak-1 and the MiG-3, although only very slightly so in compared to the MiG-3. P-40 is indicated as being slightly superior in terms of survivability and hit points, and has the airspeed advantage over the Yak-1 and the MiG-3. That also applies to the maximum dive speed. However, and this seems to be consistent across the board for aircraft we're comparing, the P-40 turns at a slower rate than either the Yak-1 or the MiG-3. In terms of stall speed, the P-40 will stall sooner than either the Yak-1 or the MiG-3. The P-40 has a significant advantage in terms of altitude over the Yak-1 by 800 meters, one of the most significant advantages I've seen among aircraft. It only is slightly inferior in terms of altitude to the MiG-3. Both the Yak-1 and the MiG-3 outclimb the P-40. It looks like every aircraft outclimbs the P-40. Last up, we have the Yovakin LAGG-3, a Russian aircraft, which is indicated as having inferior armaments to the P-40, also having lower hit points than the P-40, although indicated as having the same survivability. Why they might have the same survivability but different hit points is an interesting question that I don't know the answer to. Maybe some of you might know the answer to that. In terms of airspeed, the P-40 is faster than the LAGG-3. It seems consistent that the P-40 outclasses its peers in terms of airspeed. Average time to turn 360 degrees, again, the P-40 is inferior in that regard. Another consistent factor among all these aircraft. Stall speed, the P-40 will stall prior to the LAGG-3, but it has a higher altitude than the LAGG-3, but a worse rate of climb. All right, so I hope that helps put the P-40 in context with other Tier 5 fighters. Okay, so having reviewed my build for this aircraft, having gone over its specifications and compared it to other Tier 5 fighters, let's head into a battle and see how it actually performs. Alright, fellow pilots, we have gotten the Plateau Decisive Hour, and we will be headed to the airfield to the northeast. Secure that.
You are approaching the front line.
It is a heel field, and you can, of course, switch aircraft there if you need to. Of course, we won't be doing that because I want you to see the P-40 in action. So we're going to get a little altitude here, and we'll start with the aircraft higher up and work our way down. Here comes our first victim now. Now we're going to go ahead and dive down and get behind this aircraft. We don't want to go head on because these bots will ram you. Alright, down, whoops, dive down here, let it go past us. Rinse and repeat, right? And you just see those machine guns really eat through those aircraft. Whoa, something shooting at us. Okay, we're going to turn around here. Get behind this aircraft and let loose. There we go.
The airfield is ours. Utilize this advantage.
Alright, so we're about half health. It would be 20 seconds before we could begin healing, so we're just gonna avoid this aircraft here, swing around. There we go. Now we're gonna dive down. In order to heal, you have to be low to the ground, so we'll dive down, heal up, and get back into business. And you'll see the wrench appear down there, and you'll see all our health coming straight back. And we're back to full health. Awesome, right? Alright, so we're going to climb and take out some of these high altitude enemy aircraft, air defense aircraft. See if we can flip around here and get this. Nope. So we'll head into the aircraft, or to the airfield over here. Get right back into business. And we've got a human pilot over here and a BF-109. Definitely, you always want to target your human pilots first. Especially when he's on one of your mates. So help our friendly out here. And go over here and start working on these air defense aircraft here. Preferably I'd like to be higher and take the higher altitude ones out first, but we're kind of low right now, so we're going to deal with what we have. And I think this guy's... Oh, no. Got the sector. Awesome. Things are going well so far.
Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again.
But we do have a ground attack aircraft that was coming in. Our friendlies took care of it though. A lot of red here. Definitely going into the danger zone. Then we'll help our friendly out here.
There's a heavy storm here. Unable to proceed. Returning to base. Do you copy?
Get this enemy off of our friendly, hopefully. And that is a human pilot. All we needed really was about one shot there. There we go.
Way to go! Victory is close.
Okay, so things are going well for the team. We do have some. We do have a fighter down here, human, working on our friendly. There we go. And what do we have coming in here? Oh, that's an air defense aircraft, I guess. So we'll head over here and start working on their airfield.
The enemy is almost defeated. Make a final push.
And I think we're going to be closing this out, folks. Let's see if we can get one last kill in. Nope,
I'm proud of you.
not necessary.
Head back home.
Okay, so let's head back. We'll take a look at the after action report. See how we did. Alright, so that was a ton of fun there. And took out 12 aerial targets. Did over 2,500 damage in aerial targets. Only was destroyed on one occasion. And let's see here, over 9,600 in combat points. #1 rank on our team. Let's see what we have here. Flying start. Effective fire. Subjugator. Our flying warrior badge. And our grade rank. So I think that really showed off the strengths of this wonderful aircraft. I really enjoy flying it. I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed this video. I certainly have really had a great time bringing it to you. And I hope that if you get an opportunity to fly the P-40 Warhawk, that you have great success in it.